कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा। कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस विश्वगुरु ऐसे भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, verse number 39. Dravya akrititvam gunata. Dravyakrititvam gunata. Dravyakrititvam gunata. Vyakti samsthatvam eva cha. Vyakti samsthatvam eva cha. Vyakti samsthatvam eva cha. Tejastvam tejasaha sadvi. Tejastvam tejasah sadvi. Tejastvam tejasah sadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha. Dravyakrititvam gunata. Vyakti samsthatmameva cha. Tejastvam tejasah sadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha. Dravyakrititvam gunata. Vyakti samsthatmameva cha. Tejastvam tejasah sadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha.
Dravyakrititvam gunata.
Dravyakrititvam gunata.
Vyakti samsthatvam cha. Tejastvam tejasa sadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha.
Dravyakrititvam gunata. Vyakti samsthatvam cha. Tejastvam tejasadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha.
Dravyakrititvam gunata. Vyakti samsthatvam cha. Tejastvam tejasa sadvi. Rupa matrasya vrittayaha.
Dravya of an object. Akrititvam dimension. Gunata quality. Vyakti sansthatvam individuality. Eva also. Cha and. Tejastvam effulgence. Tejasaha of fire. Sadvi, O virtuous lady. Rupa matrasya of the subtle element form. Vrittayaha, the characteristics. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. My dear Mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Kindly repeat. My dear Mother, The characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Every form that we appreciate has its particular dimensions and characteristics. The quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility. But the form of sound is independent. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. That is the independent appreciation of invisible form. Visible forms are understood by analytical study of their constitution. The constitution of a certain object is appreciated by its internal action. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty tastes, and the form of sugar is appreciated by the interaction of sweet tastes. Taste and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form of an object. Dasa in Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Now it's winter. Winter, of course, in Chennai is not winter. North India is in the grip of peak winter. Peak winter is setting in. So, winter in North India is characterized by extreme cold as well as a lot of fog. Yesterday, several flights were diverted from Delhi. They could not land. Flights could not take off, flights could not land. Very low visibility. And it will increase in the coming days. It will peak around the end of December, first week of January, it will peak. And this winter will go on till end of February. Then slowly it will become February, Chaitra Mas, March, April, Chaitra Mas will be the time when it will be again like Kartik Mas. So in Vrindavan, Vrindavan is famous for organizing Chaurasi Kos Parikram during Kartik Mas and during Chaitra Mas. These are the 2 months which are very pleasant season. Otherwise the cold is so bitter. I remember 2005 when I first landed in Vrindavan. I had gone earlier once to Vrindavan on a pilgrimage, but that was during Govardhan Puja time, Kartik time, so good weather. So first time I was experiencing the cold in Vrindavan. So Vyompat Prabhu had taken me, so went there, and early morning we went to our site, VCM site. At that time, the dome and torus had just been put up. Internally finishing and all was not done. Just the external structure was ready. So we were operating out of one small building, a shed kind of building. And that was, of course, that was later demolished. It's not there now. A very small building. And we were, at that time, Vyompat Prabhu was overseeing the cooking of meals for about some 1,500 children from that place, from Akshay Patra. So that was the thing. So there was one small blue Santro car, somebody had donated. So we went to the site early morning, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., something like that. Or no, not so early also. Maybe around 8, 9 o'clock like that, we went to the site. This is February, peak cold. I have no idea what is winter in the north is like. So I coolly got out of the car. Immediately got back inside the car. Such a cold breeze was blowing. I said, my God, I've never experienced anything like this. And, got out of the car and there was a cold breeze and the breeze blew across. I felt like somebody's, hitting me with ice packs. Then Vyompat Prabhu started laughing. He said, hey, if all workers are all working in the field, if you don't get out, it'll look very bad. Yeah, how can you sit inside like this? I was like, oh my God, how to get out? Somehow managed to get out and freezing cold, hands, legs shivering like anything. That was the first experience of winter in Vrindavan. And then, of course, slowly March came, weather improved. Okay, happy. And then came May, June. Never experienced summer like that. 48 degrees centigrade, can you imagine that? I remember, when first summer I was there, I practically lost appetite. I wouldn't feel hungry. And I wouldn't eat anything the whole day. If at all I eat, it has to be something I eat in the morning before 8 a.m., something I can eat. After that, I cannot eat. So one day, Anjali Mataji, Vyompat Prabhu's wife, she came to me, Prabhu, what happened? You are not eating. Should I make something special for you? She thought, Mataji only used to cook for us. So sambar, rasam, rice, she used to cook. Of course, she used to be very hardworking. She would whole day work in the office, come back in the evening to the house, again cook for all of us. Vyompat Prabhu, myself, one more brahmachari was there. And so I said, no, Mataji, nothing like that. It's just that I'm not feeling hungry. No, I have to get used to the weather. And then summer peaked. So those days, we used to stay in Keshav Kunj, that is opposite Krishna Balram temple. And from there, we used to go to the site. And evening, we would come back because there was no accommodation in the site. All that ashram and all buildings and all came later, after 2006. So evening, we used to take the bike and go and come. So summer, peak summer, evening, 7 o'clock, got onto the bike. I was pillion riding. In front, this devotee is driving. And he's going at good speed. And I am feeling the breeze is blowing. And I'm feeling somebody has set fire to my body. 48 degrees centigrade. The wind is blowing. Your body is like, I'm thinking, when will we reach the house here? This is intolerable. Summer, winter, extremely intense. Of course, slowly over the years got used to it. That's a different matter. But that was the first time experience. So you see, air, when you cannot see air. I mean, if air were, imagine air were opaque. What will you do? You need air to breathe. And if air is opaque, you cannot see anything. Right? But air is there all around us. All pervading. Air is there everywhere. But you cannot see air. But the existence of air is felt when the breeze blows. So if it is bitter cold, winter, the breeze blows, it will be, you'll be shivering, chill. And summer, the breeze blows, it will be like your body is on fire. You see? So you can experience the presence of air by touch, not by sight. So, Prabhupada is explaining here, the form of air is invisible. Air is there, right there in front of us, but the form is invisible. Therefore, we are not able to see. But we can appreciate it by the sense of touch. Therefore, when the breeze blows, you feel either it is very pleasing or it is very distressing, depending on the situation. So, we have to understand that form, when we speak of form is a subtle element. All the 5 objects of the senses, form, taste, touch, smell, all these forms, all these objects of the senses, they are all subtle. Their manifestation in the sense objects may be gross, to be able to be appreciated by our gross senses. But the concept itself of the sense objects, they are subtle. The concept of form, the concept of sound, the concept of smell, the concept of taste, these are all the objects of the senses. And they are all subtle. They are not gross. So, the fact that the sense of form is subtle requires a little bit of appreciation. Generally, when we speak of form, we think it has to be a gross form which I can perceive with my eyesight. Not necessary. Not necessary that form has to be appreciated only by eyesight. Like Prabhupada is giving the example. When the breeze blows, you can experience air. So therefore, the form of air is not appreciated by eyesight. It is appreciated by the sense of touch. So that means there could be subtle forms also which we are not able to see. And it's a fact also, Prabhupada explains how the television waves, and nowadays even on the mobiles, you have 5G, 4G, so many Gs you have, right? They can carry forms all over us. All the waves are present, electromagnetic waves, radio waves and all that. Our mobiles pick up those radiations from the environment around us. It will be right in our pocket, in our chest, wherever, in our whole hand we are holding, but we cannot see those waves. And then we make a video call and we are able to see the form of the person who is sitting several thousands of miles away. And from there the form of that person gets transmitted from his mobile to our mobile. How? Through the medium of air, through the medium of space. Not air, through the medium of space. So through the medium of space, form is transmitted from one place to another, but we cannot see how it is getting transmitted. So when the image of the person is captured on the mobile, that time the form is gross. After that, during the transmission from one mobile to another, that time the form is traveling, but it is subtle, it is invisible. So you see, form can be subtle also, which cannot be perceived with our eyesight. Then the person who is receiving his mobile captures that subtle form, converts it into a gross form which we can see with our eyes. So therefore, we have to understand that appreciation of form need not necessarily be done with eyesight. Because the gross materialists, the atheists, don't understand this fact that form need not always be appreciated only by eyesight, they come up with a very childish question. Can you show me God? That question, can you show me God, assumes that all forms must be appreciated only by eyesight. It doesn't recognize the fact that forms can be subtle also. There can be subtle forms also. The fact that God as a form is appreciated by people who have the ability to comprehend, to be able to perceive subtle forms. Actually, in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Srimad-Bhagavatam consists of 12 cantos, 18,000 verses, isn't it? Now, after speaking, and the Srimad-Bhagavatam begins with the conversation between the sages in Naimisharanya. Naimisharanya is a place which is close to Lucknow. From Lucknow, it is about 40 kilometers. Even today, that place is there, where it's called Sutagaddi, where Suta Goswami sat and spoke the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So Suta Goswami was chosen to be the speaker of the Bhagavatam because he had heard Srimad-Bhagavatam personally from Shukadeva Goswami when he was reciting it to Parikshit Maharaj. So therefore, all the sages chose Suta Goswami to speak about the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami started speaking the Bhagavatam and he completed the entire Bhagavatam in 12 cantos. And in the 12th canto, there are 13 chapters. And the 13th chapter is the last chapter of the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam. And in that last chapter, Suta Goswami glorifies Srimad-Bhagavatam, explaining how many verses there are and what are the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam and all that. It's a very short chapter, not very long. So the conclusion of the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam, after describing the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam, so many cantos, so many incarnations, Krishna himself, the entire 10th canto, all those things. What is the conclusion? Shri Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama Ki Jai. The conclusion of the Srimad-Bhagavatam is explained by Suta Goswami in the first verse of the 13th chapter of the 12th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So in that last verse, in that last chapter, the first verse, he explains, Suta Goswami explains, what is that verse? I'm forgetting that. Let me just pull that verse out. Sorry. Exactly, you're right. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunmanti Divyais Tavai Vedais Kramopanishadair Sanga Pada Kramopanishadair Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantan Navidu Surasuragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So at the concluding the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami says, Devaya Tasmai Namaha. I offer my respects, my obeisances to Lord Krishna. That's the conclusion of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. I offer my respects, Devaya Tasmai Namaha, to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Who is he? He is Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaihi Stavaihi. With Divya Stava, with divine praises, that Krishna, I offer my obeisances, who is glorified by whom? By which personalities? By Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, Lord Shiva, Maruta, all these devatas, they are constantly glorifying that Krishna with divine verses. Divyai stavai, yam Brahma, Varunendra, Rudra, Maruta, stunvanti, divyaihi stavaihi. Tasmai Devaya Namaha. That last word, Tasmai Devaya Tasmai Namaha, has to be applied to each line. So, Suta Goswami is saying that Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyai Stavaihi Devaya Tasmai Namaha. I offer my respects to that Krishna, that Supreme Personality Krishna, who is glorified by wonderful verses, divine verses, transcendental verses, spoken by all the devatas headed by Brahma, Lord Shiva, Varuna, Indra, all the Maruts, all of them, all the devatas put together, they are glorifying that Krishna. Then he says, Vedaihi, Sanga Pada Kramopanishadaihi, Gayanti Yam Samagaha, Devaya Tasmai Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to that Krishna who is glorified in all the Vedas. Sanga Pada Kramopanishadair, in all the Upanishads. And Yam Gayanti Yam Samagaha, in the Samavedas, those who sing the Samavedas. The entire Samaveda is also glorification of that Krishna only. And then he says, Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Yam Pashyanti Yoginaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Dhyana Avastita Tadgatena Manasa. In dhyana, in deep meditation, dhyana avastita gatena, manasa, in their mind, pashyanti, the yogis, pashyantiyam yoginaha, the yogis are able to see that form of Krishna. So that form which is seen in the mind by the yogis in deep meditation is what? It is the form of Krishna. Yasyantanna viduhu surasuraganaha devaya tasmai namaha. And that Krishna is a person whose beginning and whose end is not known to any of the devatas, not to any of the rishis. Nobody, none of the suras, none of the asuras, no demon, no atheist, no devata. Nobody can find out what is the beginning and the end of Krishna. Yasyantam na vidu sura suragana devaya tasmai namaha. So in this glorification, Suta Goswami is concluding what is to be known by reading the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam. What is to be known? It is to be known. What the object to be known from the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam is that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is glorified by all the devatas, who is glorified by the entire Vedas, the Upanishads, the Samaveda, all the Vedas put together, they are glorifying that Krishna. And all the yogis who are searching for him within their minds in deep meditation, with the eye of the mind, that form which is perceived by the yogis, that is of that Krishna, and whose beginning and end cannot be ascertained by anybody. That Krishna is the object to be known by studying the entire Bhagavatam. So you see, the form of Krishna is not a form which, as Suta Goswami is concluding after the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam, that form of Krishna is not the gross form which can be seen with our material eyesight. That form of Krishna is perceived in the mind by the process of dhyana. So, that is why to see the form of Krishna, to see the form of God, if somebody asks, can you show me God? That's why Prabhupada said the answer is, do you have the sight, do you have the eyesight to see that form of Krishna? You should have the eyes to see Krishna. Without the eyes to see, you cannot perceive Krishna. With this gross eyesight, you cannot see. You need some other kind of eyesight. So, that form of Krishna is seen how? Advaitam achyutam anadi manantarupam adyam purana purusham cha vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktau goviddam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam. So Krishna, who is Krishna? Advaita, he is the non-dual absolute. The forms that we see in the material world have duality. If I am seeing you, I am actually seeing your body. I am not seeing you actually. I am thinking I am seeing you, but you are not what I am seeing as the form of the body. You are somewhere residing deep inside the heart of the body, which I am not able to perceive. So whatever form I am perceiving, there are two aspects to it. I am speaking about the forms of living entities. The form, gross form you are seeing, made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, and there is the Jivatma within that body. So there is duality. There is a difference. I may see the body with my gross eye. With my gross eye, I cannot even see myself and you. I can see only the body. Where is the question of seeing God? So this eye with which we are able to appreciate material forms in this material world can appreciate only forms with duality. It cannot appreciate non-dual forms. Whereas Krishna's form is Advaitam. There is no duality. There is no difference between Krishna's body and Krishna himself. There is no difference between Krishna's holy name and Krishna himself. In this material world, I may call you by one name. Tomorrow I call you by that name. You'll say, hey, no, Prabhu, I changed my name. Change my name. How did you change your name? Either you go legally change your name or you take Diksha. No, Prabhu, I have taken Diksha from Prabhupada, so now my name is changed. So will you change because of that? You are not changed. So changing the name won't change you. That means you are different from your name. So you see duality. Whereas when we say Krishna, Krishna is personally present. But we cannot perceive. So when we say Krishna is, when we utter Krishna's holy name, Krishna is present when we say, someone may ask, where I am not able to see. You cannot see because that form of Krishna is non-different from his name. He says a non-dual form, Advaita. Therefore, you cannot see with your gross eyes. And not only that, Advaitam, Achyutam. Krishna is infallible. He is not subject to the three modes of material nature. He is not subject to come under the influence, to take a form which is composed of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Our eyesight can appreciate only this. So Krishna's form is Achyuta. It is not made of any of these fallible material elements. So how can you see? Advaitam Achyutam Anadim. And Krishna's form has no beginning. All the forms that we see in the material world has a beginning and an end. So the forms which our eyesight can appreciate are only the forms which have a beginning and an end. But Krishna's form is Anadim. It has no beginning, no end. How will you appreciate that with your eyesight? Ananta Rupam. Not only that, Krishna, although he has the form of a two-handed person, he can take multiple forms, unlimited forms, different forms. He can take the form of Lord Rama, he can take the form of Narasimha, he can take the form of Vamana, he can take the form of Balarama, he can take the form of so many multiple forms he can take. And still he will remain unchanged. Whereas we cannot do that, no. The forms that we see in the material world, they will not change. They have a beginning and an end. During that time, whatever that form is, if you got the form of a man, it will remain the form of a man. It will not become the form of a dog or a plant or a tree. For that, you have to give up this body and take an entirely new body. Whereas Krishna, simultaneously, he will be present in his 200 form. Simultaneously, he will take the form of Meena, he will take the form of the tortoise, he will take the form of the lion, half man, half lion. He will take the form of the boar, everything he can do. Ananta Rupam. That kind of form where our eyes can perceive, they cannot perceive. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Adyam. That form of Krishna is the source of everything, all other forms. Every form that we see in the material world is sourced from some other form. Right? We are born from our parents. So our form has come from the form of our parents. But then the form of our parents are not the source of all forms. They themselves are sourced from some other forms, the forms of their parents. And those parents are sourced from the form of their parents. So it goes on like that. But Krishna's form is Adyam. That form of Krishna is the source of all other forms. How can you perceive it with our eyes? Our eyes can only perceive forms which are sourced by some other forms. It cannot perceive a form which is the source of all other forms, which has no source itself. And Adyam Purana Purusham. His form is the oldest form. There is no form which is older than his, because he is the source of all forms. And Navayavvanam cha. Simultaneously, he has a form which is eternally youthful. The kind of forms we can appreciate with our eyesight, they are all forms which decay over a period of time. Have you ever seen any person throughout his life, he was looking exactly like a youthful person? Film personalities, they will try surgery, this, that, applying dye, putting on a wig, so many things they will do to keep looking young. But after a certain point, they will also start looking old. Cannot help it. But Krishna, Navayavvanam cha. Prabhupada explains, Krishna was about 96 years old when he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He had sons, grandsons, great-grandsons. But you look at Krishna in the battlefield of this one, Kurukshetra, you're looking at like a 16-year-old youth, fresh youth. He doesn't look very old. Navayavvanam cha. So that kind of form, how you can appreciate with your eyes, because your eyes are capable of seeing only forms which decay over time, degrade over time, become old. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam cha. At the same time, Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, What does Krishna say? Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedaisya sarvairamaya vedyo vedanta krit veda vriteva chaham. So Krishna says his form, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. He can take multiple forms, right? So Krishna is saying, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. I am seated as Paramatma in each and every living entity's heart. So he is taken so many unlimited forms as Paramatma, and he is seated in each and everyone's heart. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. And although Krishna is seated as the heart in every living entity's heart, we cannot see him. Atheists and impersonalists, they tell, no, why you have to go to the temple? God is there everywhere. God is there everywhere. Why are you not able to see him? Because although Krishna, God is present everywhere, that form of God you cannot see with your material eyes. So that subtle form of Krishna, God, which you cannot see with your material eyes, then how do you perceive? Therefore Krishna says, although Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta, although I am present in each and every living entity's heart, you cannot see with your material eyes, then how do you see me? Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyo. You have to see Krishna through the eyes of the Vedas. The Vedas, the Vedic scriptures are meant to give you the eyesight to see God, to see Krishna, to appreciate, to perceive that form of Krishna. But then, although Krishna says, Vedaisya sarvai rahameva vedyaha, the way to see Krishna, the way to see God, although he is seated in every living entity's heart, is not through our eyes, but through the Vedas. But still, so many people study the Vedas. They will study Vedanta Sutra, they will study Upanishads, they will study all the 4 Samhitas, they will study everything. But still, they will not be able to perceive that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? That is why Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham. If you try to search out the form of God or Krishna through the Vedas, Durlabham, very difficult. Extremely difficult. You will end up with some other conception that God is formless, God is without any qualities, He is Nirakara, He is Nirguna, He is some indescribable entity called Brahman. That's where you will end up. Although Vedaisya sarvairahameva Veda, Vedas are meant to be able to give you the perception, the ability to perceive God or Krishna who is present in each and every living entity's heart, which you cannot perceive with your gross eyesight. Still, that subtle form of Krishna is very difficult even to be searched out through the Vedas. Then how do you perceive him? Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhaktav. He is very easily perceived by his pure devotees. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Krishna's form is achintya gunaswarupa. The form of Krishna and his qualities are achintya, it is inconceivable for us. It is Advaita, it is Achyuta, it is Anadi, it is Anantarupa. So it is inconceivable for us that such a form can exist. And although it is so it is inconceivable for us, that form of Krishna, and although we cannot perceive with our eyesight, and although we cannot, with great difficulty, we may still not be able to perceive him by studying the entire Vedas, although the Vedas are meant to describe the form of Krishna. You can, that form of Krishna very easily, dhyanavastita tadgatena manasayam pashyanti yoginaha. That form of Krishna which is so difficult for the yogis to perceive by samadhi, by the jnanis to search out through the pages of the Vedas and Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutras, very easily perceived by Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. when your eyes become tinged with the salve of love of Krishna. Then when that happens, when your eyes are tinged with the love of Krishna, Krishna Prema, everywhere you see, you can see only Krishna. You cannot see anything other than Krishna. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Everywhere you will see Krishna and his energies acting. You cannot see anything other than that. You see? So that's the subtle form of Krishna. Such is the subtle form of Krishna. You cannot expect to see Krishna simply with your gross eyesight, which can see only one type of form, one gross type of form it can see. There are so many subtle forms which we cannot see. When your form is getting carried by the waves of the mobiles from one tower to another, you and I cannot see that form. That does not make you and me formless. We have our form. But you are not able to perceive it now. But your mobile is able to perceive. You see, what you cannot perceive, your mobile is able to perceive. It is able to capture. Similarly, that form of Krishna, which you cannot capture with your eyesight, with bhakti, with Krishna prema, you can capture. And manasa yam pashyanti, in your mind, in your heart, you can perceive. Just like that form which you cannot capture from the waves, from the 5G, 4G, whatever, but your mobile can capture and then you can see. Similarly, that form of Krishna which is present everywhere, andantarastam paramanu chayantarasam. He is there in the heart of every living entity, sarva sachaham hridai sannivishto, and paramanu chayantarasam. He is there in every atom, but you cannot see with your gross eyes. But that form you can capture in your mind and heart through bhakti yoga, through devotional service, through love of Krishna. There is no other way. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakta. Very easily he is perceived, Krishna is perceived. So when Krishna's form is so subtle that you cannot capture unless and until your eyes are tinged with the salve of love, how will you be able to capture the representative of Krishna without having love for him? Even the representative of Krishna, the form of the representative of Krishna is also similarly subtle. Representative means he has to represent somebody else in every way, no? So if Krishna has a subtle form, the person who represents him also should be a subtle person. It cannot be a gross personality. So therefore, the Diksha Guru, the spiritual master, also has a form which you and I cannot perceive unless and until our eyes are tinged with the salve of love. That is why Shastras state, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasya ite gatita yartha prakashante mahatmanaha. The kind of para bhakti you have in Krishna, you have to have the same para bhakti in Guru. Otherwise, you will not understand the instructions, the scriptures. Even to understand the instructions of the Guru also, you have to have para bhakti in Guru. To understand the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, you have to have para bhakti in Krishna. If you don't have bhakti in Krishna, you cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. What you will end up with reading Bhagavad Gita if you don't have devotion? You will say, when Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, Krishna is not telling to surrender to him, Krishna is telling to surrender to the unborn within him. You will all illogical. Arey Baba, I am telling surrender to me, you are telling surrender to something unborn within. What unborn? What, Krishna is Advaita. There is nothing within and outside. Whatever you see outside is also the inside of Krishna, Advaita. There is no duality in him. Duality is there in you, not in Krishna. So the effect of studying Bhagavad Gita without para bhakti in Krishna is, you will end up misunderstanding Bhagavad Gita. You will not be able to understand the instructions of Krishna. You see? Similarly, if you don't have para bhakti in the Guru, what will happen? You will end up misunderstanding the instructions of the Guru. The Guru, Srila Prabhupada, has ordered a Ritvik system of initiations to be followed in our institution, in the institution of ISKCON. If you have para bhakti, you will understand very clear. You don't need any explanation, you don't need any shastric evidence, you don't need any tradition or precedence to follow that order. Prabhupada, this is my Guru Maharaj, he has told to follow it. Close your eyes and follow. Khatam. But if you don't have parabhakti in Guru, what will happen? No. This is temporary. This is this is against parampara. This is not as per Shastra. All kinds of confusions will come. Why confusion comes? No parabhakti in Guru. You need a living Guru. What is the meaning of that? You are not able to appreciate the subtle form of Prabhupada which you are not able to see with your eyes. You are thinking, Guru means I should be able to see him with his gross eyes. With your gross eyes, what can you see? You can see forms which are limited, which are asat, which are impermanent, which are temporary. But what is Diksha Guru? Janme Prabhu say, he is an eternal personality. Eternally he is your spiritual master. Eternally means in the material world also, when you go back to the spiritual world also, there also he will guide you. You will be under him. That's the meaning of eternally, spiritual master. So, that form which can eternally guide you cannot be material, no. It cannot be something which has a beginning and an end. It has to be anadim ananta rupam, adyam. It cannot be a form which has a beginning and an end. It should be an eternal form. Then only the Guru can eternally guide you, no. And you are saying living Guru. Living Guru means a form which I can see with my eyesight. But what kind of form can your eyes see? Your eyes can see only forms which have a beginning and an end. So that's not the eternal form which is going to guide you throughout your life after life and even in the spiritual world. So this simple thing you are not able to understand. So the form of Prabhupada which is going to act as your Diksha Guru and take you back to Godhead, and eternally Janme Prabhu say, who is going to perform the function of eternally being your spiritual master, no matter how many births you take in the material world, as well as when you go back to the spiritual world, that form of Prabhupada doesn't have a beginning and an end. That's an eternal form. And that kind of eternal form can you see with your material eyes? You cannot see. You cannot perceive. For that, what is required? Parabhakti is required. And when you have parabhakti, that parabhakti is demonstrated how? That parabhakti is not in words. No, I have devotion to Prabhupada. You have to show that devotion by following his instructions implicitly. Parabhakti is seen when Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up everything else and surrender unto me. Oh, Krishna is told, surrender. That's called parabhakti. Now when Krishna says, mamekam sharanam vraja, no. All Shastras are telling to, some Shiva Purana is telling to surrender to Shiva. This Skanda Purana is telling to surrender to this one, Skanda, to Subramanya. And some other scripture is telling to surrender to Durga. Some other scripture, how can I surrender to Krishna? If a question like that, no parabhakti. Then Hare Krishna. That's all. Not Hare Krishna, something else will happen. If you say Hare Krishna, then you are surrendered. So you see, unless you have parabhakti, you will not be able to follow the instructions implicitly. So parabhakti to Prabhupada is demonstrated how? By following implicitly his instructions. Prabhupada said, follow the July 9th order, implement the Ritvik system of initiations, follow it. That's all over. By that following, you are demonstrating parabhakti in Srila Prabhupada. And if you have that parabhakti in Srila Prabhupada, then Prabhupada will reveal his transcendental form to us, where not in front of our gross eyes as a living Guru, who has a beginning and an end, but as a eternal personality, he will reveal his form, where manasa dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogina. Right? So in the mind, in the heart, with the tinge of love, premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva pasyanti. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam. So that Krishna is seen within the heart by devotees who have parabhakti to Krishna. Similarly, if you have parabhakti to Srila Prabhupada will reveal his eternal form in our heart. We have to be patient. We have to wait for that. We need qualification. Just because I don't have the qualification to see Prabhupada's eternal presence, eternal form in front of me, that doesn't mean Prabhupada doesn't exist. No, Prabhupada, we cannot say Prabhupada is not living. Just like Krishna, I am not able to perceive Krishna's eternal form, although Andantarastam Paramanu Chayantarastam Sarvasya Jaham Hridi Sannivishtaha. Krishna is present in your heart, my heart. Krishna is present in each and every atom, but I am not able to see it. Right here, Krishna is there. When I utter Krishna's holy name, Krishna is there right in front of me, but I am not able to see. No, doesn't mean that Krishna is not living. Krishna is living, no. Similarly, the moment I say Prabhupada and I follow Prabhupada's instructions, Prabhupada is there, right there with me. But I cannot perceive with my gross eyes. Doesn't mean that Prabhupada is not living. Therefore, when Prabhupada says you follow the Ritvik system of initiations, we follow that implicitly. That is a demonstration of our Parabhakti. Then Prabhupada will reveal his eternal form to us. And then we will be able to see our own eternal form. We are not even able to see ourselves. So Prabhupada is there right with us. Every moment, every second. In our hearts, in his instructions. Just like Krishna is non-dual, Advaita is non-dual, Krishna's holy name and Krishna are non-different. Krishna and Krishna's instructions are non-different in the Bhagavad Gita. Just like that illiterate Brahmana, when he was reading the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he was seeing Krishna sitting on the chariot of Arjuna right in front of his eyes. How? Because Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita are non-different from him. Similarly, Prabhupada's instructions are non-different from Prabhupada. If you have the eyes, if your eyes are tinged with the salve of love for Prabhupada, when you read Prabhupada's instructions, you will be able to see him. So Prabhupada is living, Prabhupada is there with us, Prabhupada is present, Prabhupada is non-different from his instructions. He is Advaita. When you say Prabhupada, Prabhupada is non-different from his name, he is there with us. You have to have the eyes to see. What is the eyes required to see? Not these gross eyes, not Shastra, not tradition. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. What is required is parabhakti. Implicit faith in Prabhupada is required. That Prabhupada is an eternal personality. He is living, he is present with us, he is receiving all my service. He is the person who is my initiating spiritual master. He is the person who is giving me Divya Jnana. He is the person who is doing Papasya Sankshem. He is the person who is taking me back to Godhead. You have to have this Parabhakti. If you have that, you will be able to perceive, and for you it will be no contradiction, no confusion in following the July 9th order of Prabhupada. If you don't have that Parabhakti, what will happen? All confusion. No, Shastra says something else. Shastra says, there is no living Guru. I need somebody to pull my ear. I need somebody to, pull my shikha. All these kind of confusions will come. And where is Prabhupada's Murti telling you that he is accepting you? All confusion arising out of lack of Parabhakti in Prabhupada. Here, because of the lack of Parabhakti, what happens? Your vision becomes contaminated. You are thinking, I am not able to see Prabhupada's one form which has a beginning and an end. A temporary form I am not able to see. Therefore, Prabhupada is not living. It's such a childish argument it is. So therefore, we have to understand, that is why Prabhupada is mentioning here, forms can be invisible also, and that invisible form is appreciated by other means. When there are even material forms can be invisible. So what about spiritual forms? Form of Prabhupada, form of Krishna, isn't it? So Prabhupada is talking about material forms. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. So the form of air is material, it's not spiritual. That material form of air itself we are not able to see. We can perceive only when the air blows. So you can imagine spiritual form of Prabhupada, how you can see with your material eyes. And you are thinking that material vision, what I can see, then only Prabhupada is living, otherwise he is not living. So these are all immature, childish understandings. We have to have, when we read Prabhupada's purports and Prabhupada's teachings properly, we can understand the spiritual master is always living. He is present with us in his Vani, in his instructions. And those instructions of Prabhupada are non-different from Prabhupada. And to be able to perceive that, just like to perceive that Krishna is non-different from his instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, what is required is not panditya, scholarship. Even if you are illiterate, if you have parabhakti in Krishna, you can see Krishna's form within those instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, if you have parabhakti towards Prabhupada, you don't need to be a big scholar, you don't need to be you don't need a Shastra board. You don't need all these things. You need parabhakti in Prabhupada. Simply reading the instructions of Prabhupada, you can perceive his presence, how he is guiding you, he is correcting you, he is purifying you of all the contaminations in your heart, and he is progressively, gradually, he is taking you back to God and giving you newer and newer realizations in taking you back to God. At all these things you can perceive. What is required for that? Fundamental qualification is Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti am yoginaha. You cannot expect to see him grossly. You should see from within the heart, within the mind, you should be able to see with premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. With parabhakti in Prabhupada, you see, you study Prabhupada's instructions, it will become clear. All right, I'll stop here. If anybody has any questions or comments, yes, please. Raghav Saranto.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Like with our gross senses, we cannot perceive the spiritual form of the Guru.
Yes.
Like for the benefit of the conditioned souls and transcendental personalities like Guru and all, they accept material forms to interact with conditioned souls.
Yes, that is a form which a Guru takes out of compassion for the conditioned souls, because we cannot see anything other than material forms. Just like Krishna takes the Archa Avatara. He descends in a form which we can see. He descends in a form resembling matter, which we can perceive, which we can understand, which we can see, and which we can serve. Similarly, Guru also descends in a form which resembles matter in order to be able to give us an opportunity to see him and to serve him. But that service opportunity is very limited. That is why Prabhupada said, appreciation of Vapu is not eternal. It is only for a specific purpose, for a specific period of time that it is manifested. After that, you have to serve the Vani of the spiritual master. You have to, in your initial immature stage, that Vapu form of the spiritual master, which resembles matter, it is still spiritual, but it resembles matter, is essential, so that what happens, we can, in our immature stage of realization, we can connect with that spiritual master and we can follow his instructions. When we develop enough maturity, we have to go beyond that. We should not be dependent only on the Vapu, we should depend on the Vani. And Prabhupada is so merciful, even though his Vapu was present only for a particular period of time, up to 1977. Even after that, Prabhupada is manifesting his Vapu, even today, in the form of so many videos, pictures, all these things, which no other Acharya has done. So he has done something which is extremely merciful. He has left behind his form, his spiritual form, which resembles matter, for us even today to be able to connect with him and to appreciate. That is his mercy, that is his kripa upon us conditioned souls. All right?
One more question.
Yes.
Like we can appreciate form as a subtle forms. So how to appreciate the taste? Each unique taste also has subtle elements. Like
The concept of taste is subtle. But taste itself, when you take an object and taste it, that is a gross experience that you are getting. So, Prabhupada is expressing here, is explaining in the purport. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty tastes. So, the form of salt, if you take, there may be another object, white powder, which looks exactly like salt. So, how to know whether it is salt or not? You put in the mouth, it is salty. Oh, this is salt. This is same white powder I'm putting in the mouth, it is sweet. Oh, this is not salt. So the form of salt is appreciated by its taste. Because taste, the subtle element of taste is inherent only in earth. It is not in other substances. And form, the matter which is made of earth from fire onwards. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? So, ether and air don't have forms which we can see. From fire onwards, there are forms which we can see, which we can perceive. Because fire is subtle, therefore, as Prabhupada is saying, in the translation it is stated, Tejastvam Tejasah Sadvi. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. You cannot taste fire. Let me understand the form of fire by putting it into my mouth, that's all. Your mouth will be over. You will not be able to taste anything else. So, the form of fire, because it's subtle, it is appreciated by its effulgence, that's all. Then comes fire, then comes water. Water, you can appreciate its presence not only by its form, by being able to see it, but also by tasting it. Taste is present in water onwards. And earth is appreciated by smell as well as by taste. So smell is something which is, fragrance is inherent only in earth. So therefore, you can appreciate material forms made of earth by taste as well as by smell as well as by sight. Understood? So therefore, Prabhupada is saying the form of salt, because salt is made of earth. So therefore, you can see, you can perceive it by tasting it. Understood? So taste as per se is a subtle thing, but it is manifested from water onwards. So gross element of water you need, gross element of earth you need to be able to appreciate taste. Understood? Is that clear?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, in Srimad-Bhagavatam, we see how Narad Muni got his spiritual body.
Yes.
Like previously, he was born.
Tadit Saudamani Yatha. Yeah.
Like how the lightning and illumination appeared
Correct.
together. So he was walking and immediately left his previous mental body and got a spiritual body like that.
I don't know whether he was walking or not, but anyway.
So, and later on, it was told since he's called son of Brahma. After that, he was born from after he left. After that, he was born again from Brahma has created him like that.
Yeah.
So that body of Narad Muni is what he got. That body is the eternal form of Narad Muni. Is it like that, Prabhu?
Yeah, it is a spiritual body. That's why he is able to travel anywhere and everywhere. He goes to Vaikuntha also, meets Narayan also there. That's not possible. You cannot enter Vaikuntha without a spiritual body. So it's a spiritual body. He has appeared from Narada Muni. He has appeared from Brahma. That is a pastime. Like Krishna also appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. No. So it doesn't mean that form of Krishna is material. It is a spiritual form only. Like that, Narada Muni in a spiritual form appeared as the son of Brahma. Simple.
Okay, but the form of so Narad Muni is also one of the acharyas in our parampara.
Yes.
So it's a guru, spiritual
Yeah.
master.
Yeah.
So so not all the acharyas are having like that of Narad Muni, spiritual form like that of Narad Muni. Is it like that, Prabhu?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, let's take you are telling Prabhupada has an eternal form which we cannot appreciate now.
Right,
But
yes.
Prabhupada has taken a form which we can be seen by the material eyes
Yeah.
to give us opportunity for service like
Correct.
that. So that form of Prabhupada, what we are seeing with the material eyes is not equivalent to the form of Narad Muni.
Are you saying that in the sense that Narada Muni's form is eternal? It is eternally his form. Right? Are you saying that? And some other acharya in the parampara, like it is said that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Rupa Manjari. Yes. So his eternal form in the spiritual world is some other form. But when he is manifesting his Leela of serving Mahaprabhu's mission in the material world, he may take a form like that of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Right? So are you saying that this one?
Yes, sir.
So, so what's your question? Same, yes.
In case of Prabhupada.
Okay, so, it's like this. When we speak of spiritual form is not limited like material form. I already stated, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Krishna can take any form he desires. He can take the form of Varaha, he can take the form of Narasimha, right? That's the meaning of spiritual form. Spiritual form means it's not limited to be like one form only throughout. If we have taken a human form, then until we finish this and take an animal form, we cannot change that human form to animal form or plant form. Correct? No. That's the limitation of a material body, which has a beginning and an end. But Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam, when the non-dual form is there, spiritual form, that can take any shape, any form it wants, according to the desire of the living entity. So, when Rupa Manjari desires to come and serve Mahaprabhu as a spiritual master, Rupa Manjari will transform her form into Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur or into Rupa Goswami, as the case may be. You understand? So, similarly, Srila Prabhupada has an eternal form. That eternal form he will transform into the form which we can see, and then he will go back to the original form. They are not different. Like Krishna is not different from Varahadev. Can you say Varahadev is a form which is different from the form of Krishna? No, both are same. Both are eternal forms. Both are spiritual forms. But we can see one form for a certain time in a certain sphere, in a certain location. Another form we can see eternally in Goloka Vrindavan. Understood? Are you able to understand?
So, is there any difference between Krishna coming personally taking forms and the acharyas coming in forms like Krishna?
Absolutely no difference. No difference. Because the acharyas are all spiritual. Their forms that they take in the material world are also spiritual. Acharyas never take material forms. That is why they are beyond all the influence of the material prakriti, nature. They don't take forms born out of karma. Material forms are born out of karma. Acharyas don't have karma. So where will they take material form? They take only forms resembling matter, so that we are able to connect with them. Otherwise, we will get all bewildered. So if Prabhupada manifests his eternal form, we cannot see. So he has to take a form resembling matter so that we are able to perceive. Oh, Prabhupada is growing old. Prabhupada was young. He was a baby. He was a child. It appears like a material form. So Prabhupada has taken a form resembling matter. Just like the deity, the Vigraha of Krishna, Krishna actually is standing here along with Rukmini and Satyabhama. But he has taken a form resembling brass or matter, metal or wood or stone, so that we can perceive. So when Krishna's Vigraha is there in the temple, it's not that it's different from Krishna. Krishna only is standing there. But he is standing in a form which we can perceive, resembling matter. Similarly, Prabhupada is present in his eternal form. But if he comes in his original eternal form, we cannot appreciate. So he takes a form which we can appreciate. And when we speak of Narada Muni, you have to understand, when we speak of spiritually liberated personalities, not necessary that their eternal form has to be in the spiritual world. There are some pure devotees, liberated personalities who are eternally in the material world. Like the Pandavas, for instance, they don't go to the spiritual world. They are always in the material world. But they have spiritual bodies and they are constantly taking birth wherever Krishna's pastimes are going on. So similarly, Narada Muni also, he may not be a resident of the spiritual world, but he may be eternally in the material world, but still he will have his original spiritual form. You understand? Whereas when it comes to the acharyas, they are residents of the spiritual world, especially the acharyas who are coming from the time of Madhavendra Puri onwards. They are residents of those who are part of the Gaudiyism, branch. They are residents of the spiritual world. They are eternal associates. They are Nitya Siddhas descending from the spiritual world, from Goloka Vrindavan into the earthly planet in order to propagate the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then they go back. So when they come, they manifest a form which we can perceive with our eyes, which resembles material form. So when they take a form which resembles matter, it may not appear like that of their original form. Just like when Krishna takes the form of metal, a form resembling metal or wood, To our eyes, it appears as metal, but it's not metal. It's Krishna's original Shyamasundara form. But when you look at Krishna, Rukmani, Satyabhama in our temple, you don't see Shyamasundara color. You see some other color, you see golden color. Correct, no? Why? Because he has taken a form resembling that so that we can see him. His original Shyamasundara form we cannot see. Similarly, Prabhupada has his eternal form in the spiritual world. When he comes here, he takes a form which resembles matter. So that form resembling matter may not resemble the original form. Doesn't matter. You understand? Is it clear now? So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Naitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.